Hi everyone, my name is Dennis Chavez. I am a tour guide in Costa Rica, and today I want to tell you a little bit about the different types of forests that we have in our country. Because you see forests in Costa Rica everywhere, near the mountains, on the Pacific coast, on the Caribbean coast, farms, cities. There is always forest areas. That's why today I'm going to explain briefly about the most common types of forests that we have in our country. Near the Pacific and the Caribbean coast, along slow-moving waters, we find mangrove forest or the mangrove trees, which are very easy to recognize thanks to the roots they have. The roots of the mangrove trees look like stilts. They are above the ground, sort of spider legs when you see them, and they're able to grow in the water. So these trees tolerate salty and brackish water, and they make a perfect shelter for a lot of aquatic animals like small crocodiles, turtles, fish, shrimp, and some others. Their trunks could be also tall, and they also help a lot of tree animals like birds and frogs and mammals like monkeys. So the best way to see this forest is from a boat tour. The slow-moving waters are perfect for watching animals and enjoying the landscape. A representative animal from the mangrove forest is the American crocodile. And not too far away from the mangrove forest, we find the famous Costa Rica's rainforest. The rainforest of Costa Rica is different depending on the elevation above sea level. We find rainforests near the coast or higher in the mountains. So there is a whole classification for our rainforest, because with the elevation we get a different temperature, humidity, or precipitation. So that's how we get different types of rainforest. But something they have in particular is that they get rain almost year around. And this forest is the forest that has the biggest trees, the canopy trees that determine different environments. So in the rainforest you don't find only one size of trees. So it's actually divided into layers. You find canopy, subcanopy, understory. So that's why it's one of the most biodiverse places in Earth. A representative animal of the rainforest is the sloth. And a little bit higher in the mountains, over 3,000 feet above sea level, we find a very particular type of forest for Costa Rica, the cloud forest. The cloud forest doesn't get much rain, but it's always surrounded by clouds. It's always misty. The temperature is lower than the rainforest and the mangrove forest, and the trees are not as tall, but they are always covered with beautiful mosses, lichens, and plants. The cloud forest is a place where you find certain animal species that are used to live there. It's not very common in Costa Rica, but it's protected and is a place that we should see one day. Among the most representative animals in the cloud forest, we have the quetzal bird. If we go to the highlands of Costa Rica at 12,000 feet above sea level, you find up in the mountain tops the Páramo of Costa Rica. The Páramo doesn't have big trees. The vegetation is mostly dwarf, like small bushes, grasses. You find lichens and ferns. The place with the lowest temperature of the country is also important for certain animal species like rabbits, pumas, and some other animals. It's a place that if you visit, you should be prepared for a cold weather. Among the most representative animals of the Páramo, we find the cottontail rabbit. And from a cold environment, we move to a much hotter place in the North Pacific of Costa Rica, where we find the dry forest. The dry forest has a long and defined dry season where the trees don't get much rain and they are forced to drop the leaves to survive this dry time. The animals are used to survive with a little bit of water, and the place looks completely brown. The dry forest at some point meets the rainforest, and we call that a transitional forest, which is also very important for our biodiversity. A representative animal from the dry forest is the white-tailed deer. In the Costa Rican bills, you can see different types of forests that are represented, and also ecosystems that are very important for marine species, like are the coral reef that you find on the Pacific and the Caribbean side of the country. Really important for our biodiversity. When you visit our forest, one of the important things to consider is that if you're visiting a forest in the lowlands like mangrove forest, dry forest, or rainforest, you need to be prepared for a warm climate.